Welcome. My name is Theresa Johnson, and it is my privilege and pleasure to coordinate peer programs at NAMI Greater Milwaukee. At NAMI, we identify a peer as a person that lives with a mental illness. My experiences working with peers has been nothing but extraordinary. I have learned so much from them about life and how to maneuver through difficult journeys. Our peers bring a variety of skills, background, and knowledge that they share with others. Some of our facilitators are support group facilitators. So they lead the group, they make sure the flow of information goes smoothly and that everyone is heard. They are also very instrumental in organizing the support groups and the initiation of them. We have two support groups, Connections and also NAMI support group. We have some peers who facilitate the peer-to-peer program, which is an 8-week program, educational program that is very comprehensive, and it includes many aspects that would be beneficial to a person living with mental illness. It goes over diagnoses, medications, also self-care, and then a crisis plan is also developed. Facilitators of the class actually teach the information to their peers and also help them to integrate the resources and tools as they continue on their journey. We also have peers who are presenters. We have voice presenters and also lived experience presenters. These peers share their experiences with others. We have different audiences that they present to, a wide variety of them. They are featured in the Milwaukee Police Department CIT program. They present at a lot of higher educational institutions. They share their journey. They share the dark days. They may share how they found out they had a mental illness, the struggles and the challenges that they had to go through. They might even share their treatment plan. But in the end, they share where they are today, and that is living well with their mental illness. The presenter's experience is invaluable to the audience as they reflect in their evaluations. This is the first opportunity that some people have to hear directly from a person who lives with a mental illness. It has been my privilege, as I said, and my pleasure to work with the peers. I have learned so much from them, and they demonstrate truly that recovery is possible.
What the NAMI Connections peer support group means to me is a sense of belonging and commonality. I call it the head nod effect. A newcomer can walk into a room of supposed strangers, and upon sharing their mental health needs, find how quickly the entire room nods in common agreement of their own mental health challenges.
Hello, Davidson Key here today to talk about my role as a peer-to-peer class leader. There's a lot of reasons that I walk. However, the reasons for becoming a program leader or a classroom leader within NAMI are much more subtle. So I want to talk about the reasons that I assumed this position. Number one, I wanted to have a more prominent role within the NAMI organization than as a volunteer. Number two, I'm missing being in front of a classroom. And third, I wanted to make sure I put my life experiences to good use. And it's that last reason that seems to be the most important and the one that I want to talk about a bit in detail. So there's a couple of reasons that I got there. Number one, I'm an engineer by education, but I became a classroom teacher because of the experiences I had in that engineering field. Next, I've attended support groups for my physical problems for a number of years. And lastly, I became a peer mentor with another organization because I thought I had the ability to offer individuals the experiences of my recovery. So with that in mind, I decided to take on the NAMI peer-to-peer class leader because it seemed to be such a good match. Along with that, I needed to learn the essentials in becoming a good peer leader within NAMI. Number one is being able to lead these classes with an open mind and an open heart, because there are situations that are very emotional. Number two, I thought, was maintaining confidentiality. You need to make sure that the peers attending your class know that what's said in the classroom stays in the classroom. You want to build a safe, respectful, and supportive environment for all the peers. You must understand the difference between peer support and therapy. You're there to offer your personal experiences. You're not there to offer advice as a therapist. And then you need to seek out the experiences of the peers in the classroom. Sometimes you don't have an experience to offer, but somebody in a classroom does. Everyone attending the class is there as a peer and hoping to take something positive away from their experiences and yours. You got to remember that you're not alone leading in a room of individuals. You have a partner, but it's your shared responsibility to give experiences as examples to engage peer participation. Everyone in the recovery process from mental illness has something to offer. I hope that you may consider offering your support and possibly becoming a program leader in the peer-to-peer programs. Thank you and have a great day.
I'm Dean. I suffer from depression and anxiety. I have joined NAMI and I attend their group sessions, their peer support groups, because it's vital for me to maintain my stability. The peer support groups offer the opportunity for me to discuss my mental illness with people who have experience with mental illnesses. I have a therapist, I have a psychiatrist. They're both great, but I don't know if they've ever struggled with what goes on with a mental illness. So the peer support groups are very, very important to me. One thing I like about them is when you attend a group, you have people in the entire range of what's going on, people that are coping very well with their mental illnesses and people that are struggling on a day-to-day basis. And you can share your experiences. You can congratulate those who are doing well. You can offer support and inspiration to those who are struggling. In addition to that, you can, contribute things that have worked for you, coping strategies, distractions, different methodologies for dealing with your mental illness. And hopefully that will benefit those who are struggling, but it can also help those that are doing well, because it gives them an additional tool to combat the strain of having a mental illness. I think the NAMI peer support groups are very, very important. If you have those days when you don't feel right, you don't feel well, you feel like the world is closing in on you, you can contact NAMI and you can find a group that will support you and help you through those difficult times. So I encourage everyone to continue the peer support groups and encourage everyone to attend and get help. That's the important thing, to get help.
Hello. I've been dealing with my own mental illness for over 50 years and have family members with mental illness as well. Until I discovered many years ago NAMI Greater Milwaukee, I felt powerless, isolated, invisible, ashamed, and beaten down. Because I grabbed onto the lifeline extended to me through peer-to-peer classes, the Connection peer support group, I learned I have a voice, that I am a warrior, that I can find healing and self-acceptance. Till the day I die, I will use my voice to advocate for myself and my peers and do battle with stigma in any form it takes and in any way I can. This is all possible because of NAMI Greater Milwaukee and what I've learned from them and their continued support. Without the support of my peers and NAMI, I doubt that I would be here today. So I'm going to continue to fight the fight. I'm going to continue on my journey of healing and self-acceptance. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Gian Santoro and I am a young adult presenter in the Ending the Silence program in NAMI Mercer in New Jersey. NAMI, which stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness, seeks to erase the stigma of mental illness from our communities, as well as help those who are struggling and their families. As a young adult presenter, I go into schools, churches, and community centers and educate people about mental health, as well as share my own story of my struggle with depression and anxiety. This program is so important to me because when I was in high school, I think I really would have benefited from a similar program. But unfortunately, these programs are not possible without your support. And that's why we're so thankful that you're joining us for our National Day of Hope, as well as our virtual walk. Although it is a bummer that we can't have our walk in person together this year, we're still hopeful that you will walk with your friends and families and share your experiences with us. Our hope for the future is that we can live in a world where people don't need to feel ashamed that they suffer from mental illness. We want to live in a world where everybody can get the treatment that they need and nobody has to feel the stigma or the pain that right now sometimes comes with having a mental illness. So thank you so much for your support and happy walking.
Hello, I am Aviv and I am a volunteer for NAMI Greater Milwaukee. I would like to encourage everyone to give it all, so that we can all support everyone affected by mental illness and their families. My favorite program is IOOV, which is in our own voice. It's a 45-minute presentation conducted by 2 NAMI member volunteers with lived experience, and it's offered free to various area businesses to propagate the awareness of mental illness and find stigma associated with it. So I encourage everyone this year to generously give their time and treasure so that we can continue to serve everyone affected by mental illness and their families. And I would like to thank everyone for their support in sharing with NAMI's vision.
The incidence of mental illness in our society is almost 1 in 5, to some say even 1 in 4.
People are being diagnosed with mental health conditions more and more every day.
It can be your family member, your friend, your neighbor, and even your physician.
It doesn't define who they are, it's just one part of them.
A lot of people who have some sort of mental illness, they're afraid to come out and talk about it.
And that's the whole point of me being here, is to just let people know that you can have a mental illness and you can still have a happy, successful life.
So today we were out working on the new video for NAMI's In Our Own Voice presentation.
In Our Own Voice presentation is a program through National Alliance on Mental Illness where we go out and we go to various venues and we share our story about what life is like living with a mental health condition.
I think In Our Own Voice is something really important to have in any institution.
Whether you're at a school or a correctional facility or an office.
Of all the programs that I'm trained in with NAMI, I think that this one for me is the most meaningful because it gets me out into the community. It gives me an opportunity to talk to folks about mental illness, to kind of shed a light on what it is and what it isn't.
I think it's important to have conversations and break down stigma because of the fact that it's so prevalent.
We see images of mental illness in the media that don't really portray the whole story.
It's important that people know that there's a place to go to where they can get information and get help.
It's not all dark days. There's a lot of light that can come out of your situation.
By sharing our stories with each other, we helped each other a lot today. I felt like I was not alone.
To find out more about this free presentation, go to nami.org/IOOV.
Hello, I am Monica Villalta, Director of Inclusion and Diversity Officer at NAMI. As you know, every year NAMI brings hundreds of volunteers, families, community members, staff, so we can work together to increase awareness about mental health. Well, this year we could not be out there walking together, but we're doing our own contribution, our own way. Thank you for participating in NAMI Walk Your Way so that we can increase the awareness and gather the resources to continue delivering on our powerful mission. We need resources and increased capacity to reach the most vulnerable. Yes, due to COVID-19, we know that the most vulnerable, those with existing mental health conditions, underlying health issues, African Americans, Latinos, and Asians have been disproportionately impacted, along with those who are less privileged, who cannot stay at home safely working from their computer, but have to go out there every day to both serve their communities and protect their families. Thank you. We appreciate your participation and look forward to you next year when we'll be able to walk together. Thank you.
Good boy. My name is Emily Washkovic. We actually got Oscar last October. That's a good boy. I was so excited. I had plans to work from home for a month, and I was working on some projects that I could do from here so I could be with him all the time. Oh, I'll be honest, it was overwhelming when we brought him home. And after about 2 or 3 days, things were just off the tracks for me. I wasn't sleeping, I was working all the time, I was spending time with Oscar during the day and then trying to stay up late at night and get caught up on work. And next thing I knew, I was kind of in a tailspin. I just could not stop. I was going a mile a minute, and finally I got to the point where I was just disengaged. I wasn't responding to Tony's trying to get my attention at all. I wasn't really reacting to him. And he was scared, and he called my parents.
Tony called us and said, you know, I need your help. I don't know what's wrong with Emily. Something's wrong.
I was fortunate enough to be taken over to Rogers. We determined that I have bipolar disorder. And at that point, it was scary. But I was lucky enough to be somewhere safe. And I didn't want to stay there at first. I wanted to go home. But, you know, they told me that this was the first chance to do things right the first time and take care of it and get on top of it. And so that's what we did.
We knew that she could have said, no, I'm going home. And
But she stayed.
She stayed.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God.
The only thing that becomes important is your kid. And that's all you think about.
I don't think I ever thought I was going to get this close to my normal old self again, but I really do feel that way. I'm a firm believer that I've always had bipolar disorder. I think I was born with it. And I think we can really see minor and mini episodes all throughout my life. You know, in college, I would have the ups and downs, and I think a lot of college kids do. You know, you're stressed out, you're away from home for the first time, you have a lot of freedom. And a lot of my episodes probably looked like very normal college blips. Oh my gosh, my first ever parakeet. I've been starting to tell my story a little bit more. After sharing with friends and family and coworkers, that's when I really took that next step with things like wearing jewelry that supports mental health advocacy and wearing my diagnosis on my neck. And it does fight that stigma because they look at me and they say, wow, she doesn't look like she has the bipolar that I've heard of.
It's no different than if you have a heart condition, but it's affecting your brain.
This is the symbol for bipolar. And then I added these with it because they mean where there's a will, there's a way. And I think for me, it's all about staying focused on what I can control with the disease and the diagnosis, and then asking for help with what I can't.
I think she's going to make a difference in a lot of people's lives.
I'm proud to say that I have it because I know now that I have a much better understanding of all my emotions, and that helps me walk through life a little bit stronger. It's kind of cool.
So some kind of way I was at the beach one day and I saw some guys playing some bongos. And from there on, it's basic history. I played some of everywhere in the United States, a lot of places, you know. That was my passion, my love. My children were growing up, and I realized that it's time to stand still and be a father. When I first was diagnosed disabled, my daughter, she was helping me with all of my health care things that I was going through because I didn't know I had been working so long. She said, Dad, how would you like to have somebody help you with that? I said, no, I want to be independent. She said, no, it's not like that. You have a representative to help you know how to make calls, help you with your insurance situations. And I said, I'll give it a try. I want to live, and I want to be active. I want to be independent until I can no longer do for myself. With eye care, if I need anything, I call my care coordinator, and they help me through it. My transportation is set up. I see my own doctors regularly. I got with the exercising program, joined the gym. Now my arthritis is loosened up, and my diabetes is under better control, and I don't have to have anybody be a crutch for me. I don't worry. I know they got my back.